'cause I know if you're in love with me tonight.
Hello everyone, I am Mrs. Constitutional, but most just call me Mrs. C. I'm fairly new to the community, so some of you guys may know me and some may not, and I look forward to getting to know all of you. Today I would like to express my views on the different styles of auditing, whether it be aggressive auditing or passive auditing, cordial auditing, or silent auditing, because each of these styles have their advantages and disadvantages. Before I get started, I would like to say that what is right for one auditor is not always right for the next auditor or person, because we are all individuals and we should take that into account. So let's jump right into my thoughts on aggressive auditing. I believe that this style of auditing is useful to establish how law enforcement officers will react to criticism of their authority. And this is most definitely an advantage to aggressive auditing. Another benefit to this auditing style is that in many cases, law enforcement officers can't do much, if anything, about encountering an aggressive auditor unless there are laws or ordinances that prevent cursing or raising your voice in public. However, I have seen a lot of more aggressive auditors be detained, arrested, have their equipment broken or stolen, and this is a big disadvantage to aggressive auditing. Although this has happened to auditors of all varieties, other advantages to this style is the way the video could be viewed, or I'm sorry, other disadvantages to this way of auditing is the way that the video could be viewed by a court of law. And once I heard someone say something like, always record as if a jury would be watching that recording one day. So you can see there are certainly advantages and disadvantages to aggressive auditing. Now, let's move on to my opinion of auditing in a passive manner. In my opinion, a passive auditor is perceived as less threatening to law enforcement officers. However, passive auditors do assert their rights only in a docile manner, which is what makes them less threatening. Therefore, I believe a benefit to passive auditing is that encounters with law enforcement officers are more interesting because discussions can happen, and this provides great content to anyone viewing the video. Also, with passive auditing comes the disadvantages. For example, law enforcement officers sometimes think they can bully or even assault you, and this has happened several times. Like all styles of auditing, passive auditors do get illegally detained, arrested, equipment stolen, or even broken. And this is definitely a disadvantage. So again, we see there are pitfalls and benefits to all styles of auditing. Okay, so let's move on to silent auditing and my views on that style. Well, like others, there are perks and pitfalls. One perk to silent auditing is it allows people to see how law enforcement officers would or will treat someone who is mute, doesn't speak English, or is just frankly too fearful to speak with them. So this type of video would look favorable in a court of law, and that's always a perk. The pitfalls to doing silent audits is that law enforcement officers don't really seem to know what to do when they encounter a silent auditor, and this could end up becoming a very dangerous situation. Again, the major pitfall to any of the auditing styles is getting arrested, and this is blatant confirmation that all approaches to auditing has its rewards and its drawbacks. I'm almost done, I promise. So my thoughts on cordial auditing and the advantages and disadvantages to this style of auditing. One bonus to cordial auditing is, like passive auditing, law enforcement officers are less fearful when they come across these styles of auditors. I think that cordial auditors voice their opinions in a way that get law enforcement officers talking. The bonus to this is that the friendlier the conversation, the more likely no violence will occur, and is definitely a pro to this type of auditing. Cordial auditing, like other auditing types, still has its downfalls. For instance, being viewed by law enforcement and others as a fool, and this could allow them to believe that they could violate your rights or take advantage of you, which is definitely a drawback. So again, we see that even cordial auditors, the friendliest of cordial auditors, can run into trouble with law enforcement. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave you with some final thoughts. These are my personal views on the different styles of auditing. Every style has advantages and disadvantages, and no one way is the correct way. I've only done a few audits, so I can't say that I even know if I'm an auditor or an activist. Maybe I'm an activist auditor. I do believe that we should film all government employees as much and as often as possible because it is our job as taxpayers to hold the government accountable on who they employ with those tax dollars. I'm going to leave you guys with my favorite quote by Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Thank you.